was the Monica Lewinsky scandal, because it seemed to be this really big deal. And other than that, I was totally oblivious. I didn't really start paying attention to what was going on politically until after I joined the Navy, and this would have been in 2003. So I went to boot camp July 2003, checked into my first command down in San Diego in, I believe it was November of 2003 after boot camp, and I went to A school. I was down at North Island. Awesome place to be. And I wasn't really into politics then. Not at all. I was 19 years old. I just turned 19. I was, fresh in the military. What the hell did I give a crap about politics? All I knew is that I loved my country and I wanted to serve. Damn it. Well, a lot of the old salts would often talk politics. A lot of the time. Especially because at the time it was after 9/11 and we had just kicked off the Iraq War. So that war was still fairly new when I had checked into my first command. So, politics was in the air. Everybody knew what was going on, and people would often talk, and I'd sit and listen. That's when I got my first experiences with it. As time went on, the first election that I actually voted in, that I actually made a smart decision in, was the 2004 election. I had voted in every election, local, national, before that I could since I was 18. However, I can honestly say that I was not that informed. I thought I was, but really, I wasn't. I said, oh, this is cool, that's cool, this guy seems to be neat, I'm voting for him. The way a lot of younger people do. So looking back, yeah, I could have been more informed on the issues, but, I think being informed also comes with being educated, and I went to a high school in California. We don't exactly have a top-notch education system out here. I didn't start learning again until I started doing self-study. I really haven't started learning again until I went back to school on my GI Bill. That's when my education continued. After that, it was done after 8th grade. I went to private school up until 8th grade, public school in high school, and didn't learn a thing in public school. However, I will say that it was great for social skills. You definitely pick up a lot of social skills in public school in California. So, moving forward after that, President Bush ended up getting elected again. The next one is when I was really, really getting into politics. And that was the first Obama election. It was between Obama and John McCain, Senator McCain. Then Senator Obama and Senator McCain. I cast my vote on that one, largely off of this versus that. And that's when I really started getting a little more educated on the policies and what was actually really going on. It wasn't until the last election that I was full-fledged in it, understood it, knew what was going on, picked apart issues, made smarter decisions. And by that time I had figured out what team I was on. We all have to pick a team, apparently. You have to pick the blue team, the red team, the white team, the green team, whatever team the Constitution Party color is. You got to pick one of these teams. I had my team and I was waving their flag and I was, cheerleading for them. And I regret it. I always said I would never put myself in a category, and that's exactly what I did. I labeled myself, put myself in a category, and the problem with that is that, two things happen. First of all, when you talk to other people and you say, I'm on X team, then they look at you and say, oh, so you think XYZ. Well, actually, no, I don't. Oh, well, you just said you're on X team. You must believe XYZ because that's what X team believes. Yeah, no, you're really trying to pigeonhole me and put me in a category in a box. Please don't do that. Well, you can't help that, and that's just something that happens all the time. You can't get away from it. Now, the other bad part about that is the people that are on your team that expect you to fall into the groupthink. Now, the team I chose it because I thought that they were different. I thought that they actually thought out of the box, and I'm going to address one of the bigger issues in the next podcast. But I found that, I was right when I was 19. I was right up until the time I was about 25. Parties are bullshit. This team versus that team, it's all bull. It's groupthink. If you don't fall in line with the actual narrative of what they want you to believe, oh, you're not part of their team. You're just one of these, or you're just one of those, or you're a hypocrite or whatever. No, I'm not a hypocrite because I never said that I believed X, Y, Z. I joined your team because I thought it was the closest thing to what I actually believed was right. Unfortunately, if being part of your team means I actually have to believe X, Y, Z, you haven't really thought about that very well. I'm going to go ahead and back out. I'm done. So we got to stop the divisiveness. The divisiveness happens this left versus right, up versus down, this color versus that color, cheerleading, team joining, bull. Okay? It's not doing any good. It's dividing everybody up. Divide and conquer. That's all they want. Again, I hate sounding like a conspiracy theorist when I say, oh, that's all they want, because of course I can't prove that. I have no evidence or facts or, anything to support that claim, but it's what our language has come to nowadays. You see something in general and you just add that label on it. They're trying to do this. Well, excuse me, I'm wrong for even saying that. The war on everything, the war on women, the war on blacks, the war on whites, the war on kids, the war on poverty, the war on babies, the war on women's rights, the abortion, and the war on guns, and the war on drugs, and the war on it. There are no wars, okay? There is no war on this, there is no war on that. You're dividing up people. And there is no, your rights, my rights, this category's rights, that category's rights. Stop dividing the country. The left is guilty of this. The right is guilty of this. Both sides. I don't care if you're team blue or team red. It's your fault. Bottom line, period. Case cut, closed. Now, how do we solve this problem? Well, I think the problem is actually solving itself for two reasons. Number one, having gone back to school as late as I did on the GI Bill. Granted, people that go to the military and go to school after tend to be a little bit older, a little more life experience. But the one thing that I noticed since being in school is, number one, I am actually quite impressed with the level of intelligence of a lot of these kids. I shouldn't even say kids. There are a lot of, they're my friends. Really impressed with the level of intelligence. They know how to think. They know how to think critically. They know their facts. They know their history. Oftentimes, we come to different conclusions given the same facts and histories, but that's okay. That's what America is all about. Being able to have different opinions and not demonizing each other for it. I can honestly tell you that I have lost some friends because of politics before going back to school. I got friends now that are, just uber liberal, just crazy far left, true liberals. Consider them good friends. I got psycho nut jobs friends on the right that would just scare you awake or in your sleep. And we're pretty cool. We get along pretty well. It doesn't mean that my views are perfect. There's, even the argument that, oh, well, somewhere in the middle is the right. No, that's not even true. That's a fallacy. The middle ground argument is also bullshit. I definitely have some more right views. I definitely have some more left views. For the most part, I think I'm just aligned with freedom and rights for everybody, not any specific category. But we just need to stop. We need to stop playing games. We need to stop joining teams. We need to stop fighting for our own personal self-interest. We need to start looking at what's good for the whole of the country, for the whole of the population. And we'll never get to that point so long as we're only focused on me, my. And that's both sides. The blue team, they vote for their people because they're going to get XYZ out of it. The red people vote for their people because they're going to get XYZ out of it. I don't know what changed. I wasn't around back then, so maybe it wasn't much different. I honestly don't know. But of course, here comes the overabused quote from President Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That's actually what I thought growing up. Socrates, the Greek philosopher, he looked at the state as just a higher form of organization. And even though it wasn't perfect, he definitely had a lot of problems in Athens, but he looked at it as the most perfect thing at the time, and that it granted people the ability to affect change in their lives. And that's what we have today. We don't have a perfect government. We have a more perfect government than anybody else. And when it boils down to it, regardless of the fist pumping and the narrative spread through right and left wing media, I really think that the majority of Americans still respect each other, and that we need to not fall to these far right or far left nut jobs and solve our problems, figure our problems out. So that's it. That was my longest one so far. And there's plenty more to come. I think the next one I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the problems I saw with my team that I am on the verge of leaving. The problem with drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, and how they view them versus how they view guns and the arguments that they give, and how they just don't mesh, how they just don't work together. Because they're different, but they're the same. And you are just going to have to tune in to see what I have to say about that. That will be episode 1.04. So for now, have a good day and live free.